Zack Snyder's Justice League has really blown up, with characters like Darkseid, Superman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and countless other characters. It's not hard to see why. Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from Legacy Comics, and today I'll be giving you the origin and history behind a little bit less well-known character, Desaad. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to tell me that you enjoy the content on this channel. And on with the video. Additionally, before we begin, the distinction must be made that the comic book counterpart of the character inside of Zack Snyder's Justice League is significantly different, yet resembles similar aspects of the character's story and the character's actions, but fundamentally is very different. The character of Desaad has been in the DC mythos for quite some time. In fact, his first appearance was in Forever People issue 2, May 1971. By the mastermind himself, Jack Kirby. Throughout the character's history, he has been used in a variety of ways, and has served his master Darkseid for much of the time. A very small portion of Desaad's origin was revealed during a chess game between Darkseid and Ellipso, after Ellipso told Darkseid how he had caused a giant flood. In fact, Ellipso alludes to this being the Great Flood of Noah. As Darkseid stated during this conversation, he had deceived a rather young youth into believing that his cat had killed his bird. The child decided to kill his cat by burying it alive. Little did the youngling know that the bird never actually died. When the bird had returned to the boy ended up killing the bird and left New Genesis and became one of Darkseid's right-hand members, someone known as Desaad, the person who we're talking about in this video. Desaad initially appeared to be helping Darkseid, or Uxas's brother at the time, Drax, but truthfully, he was just helping Uxas obtain the Omega form that was supposed to be for Drax. Drax would soon be thought to be dead, and Uxas would take the Omega Force for himself. Quickly after Uxas's retitlement and godhood as Darkseid, Desaad would soon follow Darkseid as his right-hand man, as Darkseid's master torturer. Throughout Desaad's comic book history, Desaad would become increasingly racist and increased in his cowardice to Darkseid as Darkseid increased in power over time. This does not detract from the treacherous nature of the character, and because of his fear of Darkseid, he would not betray him unless someone else were to take charge against him with supreme authority. Something many people neglect about the character of Desaad, and something that is very crucial to Darkseid and Desaad, is that Desaad actually disguised himself as Darkseid for quite a long time, and frequently the Darkseid that we see in comics on Earth was actually Desaad rather than Darkseid. In fact, Darkseid expressed deep hatred for the use of avatars, so it makes even more sense for many of these Darkseid appearances on Earth to be Desaad. Another reason for his disguise as Darkseid was to keep the Intergang together and cause suffering. Darkseid joined the Intergang in search of the anti-life equation. Later in comic history, Desaad was thought to be dead after Darkseid attempted to break through the source. From this point forward, he had bonded with Orion. Over time, Orion would develop character traits of manipulation and cruelty, but after they split, they were back to being themselves. During this time of their bonded form, Justine attempts to overthrow the position of Desaad as Darkseid's right-hand man to become even closer to Darkseid, of whom she loved. Amidst the events of Superman/Batman, specifically under the Torment title, Desaad is to get Highfather's staff from the Source Wall and regain Darkseid's weakening power. In this story, he's able to brainwash Superman with the help of Scarecrow. Desaad is to give the power of the staff to Darkseid. He actually takes the power for himself, but the Omega effect allows Darkseid to siphon out Desaad's life essence. Big old rip. There is a decent amount of information about Desaad in regards to Final Crisis, and specifically the road to Final Crisis. In Countdown to Final Crisis, Desaad manages to torture Martenstein to gain control of the Firestorm Matrix, but is later subdued and stripped of the power of the Atomic Knights, and even farther in later events of the story, he would attempt to aid Darkseid against Mary Marvel by giving him a compound that would allow him to access the anti-life equation at will, but it was unsuccessful. Desaad also brings the Pied Piper to Apocalypse when the Brother Eye arrives. The reason for Desaad summoning the Pied Piper is because he believes he can direct the anti-life equation to control the planet as a whole. Unfortunately, the Brother Eye finishes assimilating Apocalypse, and later on in the story, he's able to convince the Pied Piper to play, but little did Desaad know, the first thing that the Pied Piper would do would be to try to kill Desaad. Despite this somewhat long tangent, it really gives more of the character of Desaad. In another comic, the reader finds out that Desaad supplies Amazonians with special drugs from the planet Apocalypse. Within the Salvation storyline, Desaad actually supervises and runs the training of the new gods on Apocalypse, and of which Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad ditches exiled villains in a relatively close vicinity. Initially, upon finding these abandoned villains, he orders the parademons to kill the weakest ones, and then would train the ones with the potential. Unfortunately for Desaad, these villains actually end up being able to escape back to Earth before he can do anything to them. After many new gods die in the death of the new gods, they then occupy human bodies. In this part of the DC continuity, Desaad then takes the name of Dr. Bud Fogel and raises the people against Lex Luthor and his experiments, and in the process captures Infinity Inc. He even conditions fighters for the Dark Side Club. When the supers break free of the anti-life equation, they destroy the arena, and Desaad is captured and electrocuted by static. Final Crisis is a very well-known story for Darkseid and the New Gods. In the story, Mary Marvel is actually possessed by Desaad. Shazam breaks Mary free from Desaad's possessive chains, and in the secret files of Final Crisis, we come to find that he actually brought Libra back to cohesion after he disembodied himself using the Transmortifier. And finally, in the New 52, we see during Darkseid's first incursion that Desaad discusses with Steppenwolf about cloning the DNA of Superman for a stronger, more battle-ready race of parademons. And so later, he also attempts to capture Power Girl for similar reasons. While they didn't extensively use the character in the Snyder Cut, it should give us hope that the fiction of the DC Universe and other forms of media will soon use the character. The character is really exciting and has so much potential. Who knows, maybe if we see the restoration of the Snyderverse, we might just see a new side of the character we had not previously seen. What do you guys think? If you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe and share the video with all your friends. Also, you can turn on that notification bell if you want to be alerted for the next time I make a video. Are there other characters from the Snyder Cut or other content you want me to cover? Make sure to leave those ideas, questions, comments down below. This is Jeremy from Legacy Comics, signing out. See ya!